The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100. We need to talk about exactly what we're looking at on the market, what we're going to be expecting over the next few days, long and short term. But overall, you want to know what's going to happen tomorrow. You want to know what's going to happen with the big bucks, the big money. We got Powell speaking tomorrow, what to expect. Well, that's why I'm here, and that's what we're going to be talking about. Now, before we go too in-depth with the video, let me just get this out of the way, right? One, I got to ask you guys, like, subscribe. It helps me out. It helps you out because you get the juice every single day from the channel. But most of all, you're helping the community grow, right? Every single day on this channel, 10:30 a.m. Central, we're live. So make sure you tune in if you want to get some midday, mid-market updates. But let's not waste any time. Let's get to it. So looking at the Nasdaq, what were we looking at? Now, I'm going to be really clear and upfront. I like to go over what I previously said, and then we'll go over what we're looking at right now to kind of see if anything's changed, right? It'll help both of us communicate to the best of our abilities. Now, previous video, what did we see? On Friday, specifically, more of my short dated videos, Monday through Friday. Sundays, I try to do longer dated like viewpoints. Now, looking at Friday, what did we say? What have we been saying? We expect upside. We expect upside. Now, does the expectation of upside mean that there's not a possibility to break back down? No. So what's rule number one right now? It's go into every day as liquid as possible. We don't want to swing. That's not our focus. If you do want to swing, I think you got to have plenty of time out there. I prefer close to in the money. You don't want to be that risky right now. It's my personal opinion, okay? Now, that being said, looking at the market, what do we rely on when we're here? Supply and demand. That's what we rely on. So when we go to about the 15-minute time frame, show you here, you can see a better viewpoint of where that demand was. We came into it, we kind of invalidated it early in this morning, and then kind of just trended around this area. So we can go ahead and just get rid of that. It's invalidated, gazpacho, it's cold, we don't care for it. Now, going back though, I want to give you a visual. So we came right down to our massive key level, about 1247-ish, give or take, and giving you a visual to understand where that level comes from. We're going to go to the weekly chart. We got to go way back to our swing high of August 31st, 2020, clear swing high. You can go, and I broke this down on like the hourly and 15-minute. You can see how many times we bounced off this level. Go back, test it for yourself so you can understand why this is such an important level. But if we look here, we start to get some answers at this level, right? So we go back to like the 4-hour, and we can see we're just bouncing on this level so far. Now, so far, this is a great reaction to the support, right? Well, why do we set supports? Why do we set resistances? Why do we have targets? I said this in Friday's video also. The reason why 12.9 was a target and the reason why we started to trim positions is because we know that's a target, right? You set targets on your board. You set targets or goals in general because those are hard to obtain. They're hard to reach. And when you hit there, it's specifically when it comes to charting, you expect sellers to show up. Why? Because it's a significant level and they have previously, at least if you're making decent charts or decent targets overall, right? Specifically with supply and demand. You always expect sellers to step in when you hit a certain point. That's why you have them. And then if they don't show up that strong, then you expect continuation. So going at this level, what happened? Now, I believe we had a little bit of the Fugazi from China, a little bit of that stuff happen out. And then today, we have what's happening with Powell speaking tomorrow, which I think will be very influential, and we'll talk about that here in a second. So when we look at the behavior happening here, I'm kind of just like, you still look great. But it's just like with the Fed meeting and with earnings, you got to kind of stay a little bit on your heels because you want to see what happens from these key meetings and data pools, right? Now, in my opinion, I don't think you have expanded downside until some of these data points start to rise. PPI, CPI, PCE. I think one of those has to start moving to the upside and get a bad print for us to even consider being bearish. My personal opinion, I'm going to stick with that for the time being. Now, if you're not following on Twitter, then you probably didn't get all these updates. As you can see, I was posting all this weekend and yesterday, whenever else I was posting this, I don't remember. But I was going over all the key levels. So we finally hit this point, hit this key level. If Powell comes out, and I'm going to tell you right now, Powell will be speaking tomorrow, Federal Reserve, you can look at it right now. Tomorrow it's going to be at 12:40 p.m. Eastern, so around 11:40, around lunchtime, right? When Powell will speak, most likely. I anticipate Powell to come out with a very similar tone to what happened at the Fed meeting. Now, I also think he will mention about the jobs report. He will talk about jobs. That's the downside of possibility of him talking. But other than that, I don't see too much being bad. Now, I try to side here as much as possible unbiased. So I try to not have a bullish outlook necessarily or a bearish outlook. I try to just look down the tunnel and see what's coming our way and process that information to the best of my ability. Now, coming from this information, as I'm looking at it, I don't anticipate him to be hawkish or bearish, whatever you want to call it, right? Because there's nothing really for him to harp on. If we look at every aspect of the market except that small sector when it comes to housing, right? They've all been performing as Powell wanted. Okay, we talked about this. It's happening what he wants. Now, again, is inflation handled? No, it is not. It probably will spike again in the coming months. But until then, right now, you are on the track or the path that Powell has wanted us to be on since November. We go back to November, we can go over everything he said. He wants to slow down rate hikes. He wants to see data come in as they see fit. The path of pausing rates are where they're at now. Okay, that's the path they're on. Now, we still know they're probably going to have another 0.25, and that's the expectation now. Now, as we look at this, that's the viewpoint that I have. Okay, I can only process the information being given to me. I do not like to have speculation or guessing or operate on feelings, okay? And that's why we've been successful when it comes to looking at what's happened over the past, few weeks now, right? Because we're just processing what Powell's giving us, and then we're processing the supply and demand price action that we're getting now, right? So I'm gonna go back to the chart. We've been on a clear upside basically here for 4 weeks now. Now, giving you a little bit more of insight in this, I would love to go to the 4 hour here and just discuss, okay? So on this move up, I didn't count anything from the pullbacks from the beginning of January. It just would have been a little bit of a waste. I mean, yeah, this is kind of when the trend starts and you don't really get a pullback until here. So that's why I started here. Anyways, so we're gonna look at are the now 4 major pullbacks that we've had. If we look here at the market, we have a 4% drop, right? The next one, 3.4%, 3.4%, and right now about 4% again. Okay, and I showed this, for instance, on Friday or Thursday's video. I don't remember which day it was, but this should give you a perspective. Is this perspective a way to push you to be bullish? No. The perspective is to understand that pullbacks happen on the market, but there's a difference between a pullback and continuation. And so far, it's only really been continuation. And at that, this has been a massive breakout, right? So if we just identify what's happened here, you can see it's really just been a key uptrend that we broke out of, and now we're kind of like coming back into it right there, okay? That's where we're at. Now, the other point to look at is like we've been talking about, is you are just mounting over and over previous highs, right? So if we just come in and mark a few of these levels really quick, let's just give you food for thought. Go up a little bit higher there so you can see, and I'm going somewhere with this, right? So I want to make sure this is understood. Now, if we come in here, and actually let me mark this one as well right here because it's funny because we held that almost perfect. So you can see now with this trend, there's been a little bit of a difference that we will come down. Sometimes we'll bounce a little bit under. Sometimes we came in a little bit deeper here, a little bit deeper, and then we bounce up. Now, we haven't even tested the 12-2 range. And in my opinion, if we're going to continue bullish, I don't think we're going to test it in the short term right now. Unlikely unless it's in the after hours. But right now, we're just following this stair-step trend. And until we start to break below some of these major points, I don't know how you could come out bearish, right? Now, from a fundamental standpoint, I get it. Fundamentally, I get the bear thesis and I side with you. I understand. I think it's there, okay? I believe you. I agree with you. Fundamentally, I see it. Now, going past that, we have to identify that there's more than just fundamentals here, right? We've had our massive breakdown and we have to process, people getting out of those positions, people covering positions. And that's where we've been now. Now, I have told you also, I believe you had some short covering back here, but I don't think this was short covering here. I'm going to tell you right now. However, if you push back above 12.9, I think short covering will start to factor in heavily. personal opinion. So that's where we're at right now. Now going into tomorrow, I'm going to tell you really smooth, really quick, really easy. If you break and hold below around 12.47, 12.5, and I'm looking for like a 15, 30 minute hold there, then I would probably start processing and trading the downside. Today, that's what I was looking for. I was kind of begging for it to happen, but nothing really was taking place. If anything, if we look at the day, today was probably the day that we can mark as seller dominated to a certain extent. But when you look at this, and again, I know I'm gonna get comments down below about people saying, Tyler, you were wrong here. Now, when we look here, I'm not trading just the short boom boom. That's not what I'm looking for here. You want to spotlight and make your money off the big breakouts. And then that's where a lot of this profits from the past few days and 2 weeks have come from, is the big breakouts. Now, when we look here, it's just consolidation back to the downside here. And we're consolidating on support, looking like we want to find buyers. Now, from this point, again, if you flip down, I have no problem looking for more downside. And in my opinion, to really get bearish, I think you need to get back below like 11.9. Personally, I think you have to start getting some more aggression. But if we look at the day and we say, okay, well, today was a seller day. Today was a day we'll give the credit to the sellers, right? And I believe that most people here, if you're bearish, you would have to. Even if you're bullish, I think you would have to. But let's talk about this. Today's volume was abysmal. It was your lowest volume day that we've had in quite some time, going all the way back. Actually, yeah, right here. So going even further back than what we had on the 24th. You would have to go all the way back 59 million to right here around December 27th. Congratulations. You had a little bit better volume than 2 days after Christmas when no one was trading. And this was on your downside push. What do we want to see here, right? What do we keep talking about? You are going to get a majority of your answer, especially with pivot reversals, whether we're moving to the upside, then we pivot back down. Based on volume, you want to see a large influx of volume when you pivot. Now, again, my speculation, my belief on today is you came in from the weekend, you had a lot of this stuff going on with China, and then tomorrow, what do we have? We have Powell discussing the market and what's happening there. So I think today we just saw a lot of stagnation, a lot of people just sitting on the hands, waiting for a reaction from Powell. Now, again, I personally believe Powell says nothing but decent to good things. The only bad thing I can see him saying is about the employment rate. However, what do we know? We know Powell has already said that the employment rate is something that they cannot control. Okay. Now we understand we also need the unemployment rate to go up in order for inflation to go down. So these are things we know, but these are things that Powell cannot control. So he tends to not comment on things that he cannot control. That's why we were so big and so bullish at the last Fed meeting, right? That's what we need to identify and be like conscious of. That's another reason why I don't think this whole debt ceiling, he's not talking that much about it because he has no control. It's not his jurisdiction, if you will, right? Things you need to start identifying in the market. And that's what we're looking at there. Okay, so when we dive a little bit deeper, that's my viewpoints. Now, again, holding under 4.7, I think you're probably going to come back and test 12.3, 12.25. Easy, 200 points of downside if you break down there. Upside opportunity here. Powell comes out with strong tone. You hold 12.5. You're probably pushing up to 32, 3100 on the Nasdaq. So I still love the Nasdaq, but I'm not willing to day trade to the short side until we break these levels. And if you want to get the levels, it'll be updated on Twitter, so you have them there. Also, too, forgot, I have to shout this out. Again, and I'm only going to do this until the spots fill up. So we created a half-price Discord for you guys. You won't get access to the voice chat, and you won't get access to type in the channels, but you get access to all the information that me and Jay release all day long. So it's really like a guidance for you on the market so you understand. And it's a good way for you to get your feet wet if Discord is something that you are interested in. So yes, there's only 100 spots total. There's like 40 spots left, 46 it says, but that's delayed right now. So around 40 spots left. We open this up, I believe, on Friday. And so we're almost wrapped up out of this, and we will not be adding more spots to the $30 tier, just so y'all know. So once it's gone, but I just want to throw that out there so y'all have it. So looking at the market, that's what we're looking at. Now, SPY, people have questions about this. I was very adamant about the 410 level, and it's funny because you end the day at 409.9. Really, it's kind of comical. So you end your day there. Now, you're still like trying to mount this area here on SPY. And what do we also know here? What do we need to be very clear about? The SPY and the Dow are not leading the market. Nasdaq and tech are. And if you're bullish, you need Nasdaq and tech to continue leading the market because that's what's sparked the strength of this market now. You could also come out and say you're getting a bull flag here, trying to remount 409, 410, a BRB off this level. So again, tomorrow it all comes down to Powell talking. I'm not going to sit here and say, well, I checked the data, this, and this. I'm not going to BS you. Right now it comes out to Powell coming out and giving you his tone. And right now I have to anticipate that it will follow the same suit of what he has been tracking, which is a dovish tone. My personal opinion. And I think he's going to follow that. So that's what we're looking at right now. Now, looking at the market stocks I'm liking. I know everyone here has questions about Tyler. Give us the plays. Give us the stocks you love. And I'm going to do it to you right now. I'm going to hook you up. Now, right now, going into tomorrow, if we opened up right where we're at right now, NVIDIA, number one pick right now for myself. On the 4-hour time frame, it's beautiful. It's making me want to act up. The song goes, I'm losing my religion, if you will, NVIDIA, you're making me act up. You are in a supply range. I would like to identify that for you right now, massive level, but I still think chips are the leader in the tech field and the leader in the market. If you can actually break out of this bull flag, it's really simple to see here. I think you really do have room to start running, close to 426, 427. And if you actually can get above the 426 range, you're in a period of illiquidity all the way up to 260. So am I saying NVIDIA goes to 260? No. But I'm saying this thing has a lot of potential. Next up, AMD, same sector, similar field. AMD, I'm going to tell you like I told everyone in Discord today. If it gets above 85, that's where you like it. 85 has been a brick wall for it, right? So if we go to the 15-minute, you can see 85 about right here, 85.5. You can see we broke below. Lower highs made all day, kind of just holding down, right? So I love AMD, but it has to get above 85 for me to like it. Under 85, not a huge fan. Probably track back down to 80. Just food for thought there. Microsoft, also loving these guys. So right now, I'm going to tell you my strongest stocks in the market. Apple is your strongest. I like Microsoft, and I like NVIDIA. Those are probably some of my favorite names, and I'll throw Netflix in the ring. Microsoft, anything to do with AI is kind of going ballistic, right? We saw C3 AI have a ripper of a day. Microsoft, I love the basing that you're getting, right? So you filled the gap down here, perfect, came down a little bit of a wick, and then you bounced back immediately to 258 and kind of stagnating, kind of making a basing pattern here. I like Microsoft if you start to get love on the market. I could see Microsoft easily tracking back to 259 and possibly back to the 260 range. But if you really get continuation on the Nasdaq and the SPY, again, these are just minuscule numbers. You'll really start to pump back up. Again, when we're looking at Microsoft, when the market was showing that strength, we were looking for that breakout. Again, if you start to get above 264 on the swing side of things, again, you're entering periods of illiquidity to where this thing can go back to 275 and further on. So you have to be excited about the potential here on a lot of these big names. Going into Apple, despite some of the weakness that we had today on SPY, Apple remained very strong, right? We saw that gap down, obviously, but SPY for a lot of the day, near the end of the day, Apple started showing some weakness, but for the better, 7/8 of the day, right? You just held up at 252 basically. Apple really showing that strength. We saw Foxconn announce their numbers there, that they're going to have growth coming back into the market, more devices being made from suppliers. So that's good news there, right? Only thing they don't have is anything AI going on, which would definitely make me more bullish. But that leads me to my next one, which is Google. So I do like Apple, but Google announced basically their competition to ChatGPT. Bard is what it's going to be called. And you look really good. You look strong. You look decent. What I will say, though, you have to be careful for is you are forming a bear flag here. You need to identify that and understand that. But when we look here a little bit deeper, I do want to show you the 200 MA. This right here is basically going to be where you have your opportunity here on the 200 SMA. If you can get above 104.5, 104.6, that 200 daily moving average, it's an entry opportunity. Below this, I think you're trading to the downside, anticipating a gap fill of 101. I love what they're doing here. I think AI has basically going to be the big fad over the next few weeks, maybe even months. And I think you have to ride the trend. That's why I think Microsoft and Google have that upside potential, okay? Microsoft probably more so than Google, but I still like Google if it can get above the 200 SMA, okay? Understand that, know that, We like that. That's what I'm viewing there. I don't want to get too crazy. Don't go over too many things, but this is what I'm looking at in the market. I wanted to give you guys a quick update. If you have questions, comment down below. But again, there's no reason, and don't listen to people that are saying, look, X, Y, and Z are the reasons we're going to be breaking up. We just had a golden cross also, so you know. The success rate me and Jay were talking about on golden crosses over the past like 20 years, it's like 91%. So you're definitely looking like you want to get continuation from even some of the longer term signals now when it comes to technicals, okay? But right now, don't be fooled. Powell has the market by the horns, and he is the one that's in control right now. So come out tomorrow, listen to Powell. He will set the tone. I'll have a lot of updates coming in on Twitter, so make sure you're subscribed there. Have a good one, traders.